Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. This being episode number 464 today. Got Matthew and myself obviously doing the show today. So we're glad to be together.
Yes, sir.
Last week, Jacob had to cover for me during this time slot. And I believe the words were used due to some kind of household emergency. I wanted to just reassure everybody that everything is A-okay. So no worries there. We just had a plumbing issue that required immediate addressing. And it's all taken care of, all good. So anyway, those things kind of happen, and I'm glad to have a couple of good dudes to back me up.
It was fun. We have fun when you're gone sometimes.
Yeah. Yep. And then, of course, I had a great interview that afternoon last week with AJ Zito. So it kind of went a little bit long, but I thought the content was really good stuff. And so if you guys missed that one, the official podcast feed will be published tomorrow morning. But of course, you can go check it out on Facebook and YouTube. And we talked about gun modifications and different things, and some stuff that I never even really thought about, talking about in that way. So it was pretty good stuff. So awesome. We got Soteria Training Academy finally catching one of these live. Thank you for watching today. We appreciate that. Hello, Tris and Will and Bobby and Chad and Chrissy. Thank you all for being here watching. We're going to get this show on the road. And so here we go in 3, 2, 1. This is the Concealed Carry Podcast, episode number 464. And welcome to the Concealed Carry Podcast, part of the concealedcarry.com network. I am your host, Riley Bowman, joined today by co-host, producer extraordinaire, awesome dude named Matthew Maruster. Here he is.
What's going on, Riley?
I'm doing great, brother.
You always have some fancy intro for me that,
I try to be fancy, but I often fail. But we got to make you awesome. People need to know how awesome you are.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll just say I'm okay. All right. Well.
He's great. He does a lot of stuff behind the scenes that many of you don't see. So we're thankful for that. We're thrilled to be with you. Today is our what we call our news and gear reviews episode for the month of December. This is where we're going to highlight and cover recent industry news stories. So essentially non-legislative stories, general industry news, that kind of thing. And we also give a couple of product reviews. Matthew picks one, I pick one, and super excited about our reviews today. Look at mine here. I'm excited to talk about that in a bit. Matthew's probably jealous too about it.
I am.
So I'm excited to make him jealous, because I'm jealous how awesome Matthew is. So anyway, all right. So today's episode is brought to you by. We have a new product in the store. In fact, it was launched and first put out there in our Black Friday sale. And I want you to know, I have a special promo on this for a limited time through the end of the year, so the end of this month. And that's the new EDC 365 t-shirt, as designed by our very own Mitch in our social media marketing department at concealedcarry.com. Mitch did a great job putting together what I think is a pretty cool, kind of modern style of a shirt. And it just says EDC 365 on the front of it. It's probably pretty obvious what it is to folks in the know. I'm curious, how much I could get away with it in the general public, as far as strutting around, EDC 365, yeah, baby. I don't know, but I think it's a cool looking shirt, and definitely something appropriate to wear to the range, or just wear around and because you like it. So, guys, super excited to bring another apparel product to the concealedcarry.com store. If you go to concealedcarry.com/EDC shirt, that's a direct link to it. And of course, your purchase supports us here and everything we do on this channel and at concealedcarry.com. And the promotion is through the end of the year. So through midnight, basically, December 31st or December 30th. Yeah, December 31st. Use coupon code EDC Shirt 2020. EDC Shirt 2020 to save 15%. All right. So check it out. And of course, those of you that are Guardian Nation members will save another 10% on top of that. So you'll really get it for 25% off. And that's one of the big bonuses of being a Guardian Nation member. And so, yeah, you want to do that by checking out guardiannation.com to learn more about Guardian Nation. We have some exciting things coming. We're actually working behind the scenes on reworking and revamping actually some stuff with Guardian Nation, just, making it better. Okay. And guys, if you want to check out Guardian Nation, try a 14-day free trial. No commitment, no obligation. Sign up today. Check it out. 14 days for free. Okay, go to concealedcarry.com/14-day, 14DAY.
Good deal, man. Exciting stuff coming for the Guardian Nation. It's going to be cool.
Yep, it will be. So, awesome. All right. Appreciate your guys' support of the Concealed Carry podcast. On to the news. Our first story. First-time gun buyers projected to top 8 million. And this according to Smith & Wesson. So this is as reported on foxbusiness.com. And one thing that we know, and we kind of touched on this last month as well, but obviously gun sales are up big time, year over year, big time. We're hitting all-time, record highs in the year 2020. Preaching to the choir here. I know many of you already, that's news to you. And again, we touched on this a little bit last month when we had our news and gear reviews episode, talking about all the new gun buyers coming into the market. And according to some data from Smith & Wesson, and they were citing data additionally from the National Shooting Sports Foundation, and they estimate that 40% of the tens of thousands of firearm purchases in 2020 are coming from first-time owners. That's huge. Now, how could they, estimate some of this data? Well, don't forget that, a couple things that there's a variety of ways they can compile this data. And most of the firearm manufacturers, even do surveys and things like that, kind of ask questions when you buy a new gun and that kind of stuff. But so if 40% of the tens of thousands of firearm purchases, really it's 40%, that doesn't make sense. Tens of thousands, like millions of gun purchases in 2020. If 40% of that, they're estimating as high as 8 million new gun owners bought guns in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty staggering. I mean, it may not be accurate, who knows, but either way, it's a big number. It's in the millions, and I completely buy that because just everything we've seen this year suggests that that's the case.
Yeah, and I think it's a good opportunity to, when you're out at public ranges or whatnot, or, I mean, obviously, you instruct, I instruct. There's a lot of people that listen that instruct, but I bet there's other people that are listening that aren't instructors that have family members that reached out to them and said, "Hey, I'm looking to buy a gun. I can you ask them some questions? You know what I mean? Like they're reaching out to family members because it's the first time buying a gun. So it's a good opportunity for those people, even if you're not an instructor. What I'm trying to say is to reach out to those people that might be your family members or friends of friends, and to give them some good advice or point them in the right directions as far as what to do after they get the gun. Because there's a lot of people contacting me that, hey, I just bought a gun. I have never held a gun. I don't know what to do. Can you, I'm afraid to take it out of the box type thing. And so, that's a very real thing. And so it's a good opportunity to spread kind of the ambassadorship or something, whatever you want to call it, of firearm ownership.
Yep. And I've touched on this before too, and we're going to kind of come back to some things here in a moment. And the idea being that we've just have gone through, and of course things are still being fought in the courts, and it's rather controversial. But we've just gone through this election, and our as of right now, president-elect, if you will, meaning Biden, because that's the best we know right now, is that's where everything's leaning until these cases in the courts and everything sort themselves out. I hope that I feel like 8 million new gun owners, a good chunk of those may very well be people that in years past have not necessarily had gun control type issues on their radar. And I hope that people start waking up. I mean, it might almost be even a little too late, but in some respects, with all the stuff that's being talked about potentially in the future, even on a federal level. But I hope people start waking up and go, hey, I just bought this whatever, handgun because I feel that the need to defend, or an AR-15 even, right? I guarantee you there's people that are buying their first AR-15s, for the first time ever this year. And, never have really because it didn't affect them yet. It didn't impact them yet. So in the past have probably been quiet on some of these issues. I hope to see that change because it should change. With all the unrest, the civil unrest and everything we've seen this year, which is, I think, what has driven a lot of these new gun owners to buy and other similar issues. It's like, yeah, you know what? When the crap hits the fan and the cops can't come and save you, you are on your own. You should, and you do have the right to possess and to own and to carry the firearm of your choice that is, that gives you the best option for leveling the playing field when it comes to defending your life.
Yeah. And to your point, Riley, is that, obviously who the president is has a lot of implications, right? But even more so, I think, are the local elections and the midterms and all the legislation that gets kind of jammed through and nobody ever pays attention to it, or you just check the box of your representative or whatever during an election and you don't pay much attention. Maybe now people will start looking at different voting records of some of the people that are electing, and because I think there's more gun control measures at the state level, far more than at the federal level. You can impact it more at the state level, so or local level. So just be engaged, I think, is a good thing for the new gun owners.
Yep. Indeed. All right. So let's, and then also we kind of a sort of a follow-up story to that, which was just FBI background checks for guns surged 41% in November, obviously believed to be accelerated by the election, by the apparent victory of Joe Biden. So again, no surprise there, but 41% surge when we were already reporting last month, the previous month had this, massive year-over-year increase. So 41%, even further above and beyond that, is pretty substantial. So, and of course, Black Friday, it tends to be a factor in all of that as well. As far as we usually see November be a fairly high month in terms of gun sales and background checks. Interesting thing to note, though, I saw reported here locally, Matthew, that things were a little bit down on the state level here in Colorado. Why that is, I don't know. And by that, Colorado runs its own background check system. They've opted out of the federal one for gun purchases, and so we see separate numbers that are sent out by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation here, and things were actually a little bit down. But nationwide, it appears things were really, really up.
Yeah, definitely.
Going now to Matthew, give us, and this is somewhat, you can really get into the weeds on a story like this, but we have a title of the story here: Deja Vu, California may issue gun licensing results in a bribery scandal. This is new news as of just 2 days ago, out of California, specifically the county of Santa Clara, and reported on the NRAILA.org site. Matthew, summarize this for us, because it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, so basically, for those that don't know, states either have shall issue or may issue, right? So the states that shall issue concealed handgun license, as long as you're not prohibited by law and you pass all the requirements that state requires, they must issue you the license. Now, there's may issue, which you need to provide good cause or reason to have a concealed handgun license, even if you're not prohibited from possessing it. You have to show the sheriff, the jurisdiction that you're in, that you have good cause. So you can see where this goes before I even start spelling it out. But the article says on November 23rd, Santa Clara County, California District Attorney announced a grand jury had indicted a county undersheriff and a sheriff's captain for, quote, requesting bribes for concealed firearms licenses. A pair of individuals were also indicted for offering bribes to receive licenses to carry. And so it's one of the people involved is Apple chief security officer. So it's kind of a big deal. But you can see.
Hold on
Yeah.
right there. Hold on right there. This is a perfect example of people in power and in positions of authority and wealth having greater access to rights than others.
Absolutely.
Right? Which is only exacerbated when you have a system in place that restricts gun rights like California does. Santa Clara County is not exactly known for issuing permits on a whim. There's definitely very favorable counties to be in California where the sheriff's offices are very liberal in their issuing of permits and licenses and so forth. Santa Clara not necessarily, not one of those. And so you set up a system where privileged people, Apple's chief security officer, dude probably has a valid reason to have a CCW.
Sure.
I don't doubt that. But so does every other American in California. Right? But hey, look, we're going to work some little back alley deal here so I get special privilege so you guys will issue me my permit. All right. Sorry, off my rant about that. Continue on with the details of the story.
No, that's important because, this is what I was going to say is that you can predict that this happens, right? Like this is going to happen wherever there's a control over something and it's sought after, there's going to be corruption involved in it. And the people that suffer the most are the people that can't afford to bribe sheriffs, deputies and stuff to get their license. It's a bad system, right? It's just a bad system overall. There was a case in 2016. It's called Peruta versus County of San Diego, where they were challenging this whole good cause reasoning because it was subjective, and they wanted some sort of standardized reasoning behind it. And basically, the Court of Appeals, Ninth Circuit, covers California, came out, and this is quoting from their conclusion in that case. The Second Amendment does not protect the right of a member of the general public to carry concealed firearms in public, because the Second Amendment does not protect in any degree the right to carry concealed firearms in public. Any prohibition or restrictions a state may choose to impose on concealed carry, including a requirement of, quote, good cause, however defined, is necessarily allowed by the amendment. So you can see how the Court of Appeals in California says, hey, you don't have a right to carry a firearm in public concealed. That's not protected under the Second Amendment. Heller decision doesn't it doesn't provide for carrying concealed in public, and so this kind of tap dance in front of the man to get some sort of reason that you can carry a firearm is going to continue until that's looked upon differently. And I'll just let you know the reason why the the article says deja vu is because in 2016, federal authorities filed a complaint with the U.S. District Court of this for the Southern District of New York, describing a firearms licensing purchasing scheme. Same type of scenario where people in power or with connections were given preferential treatment in getting concealed handgun license. The average citizen who did not have that could not get it, or were delayed extremely long times. And in the renewal process, these people were kind of speeded along or sped along. They didn't have to reapply with a new, good cause reason. They were just kind of put right through. And so you can see that this is just, it's not a good way to handle self-defense and people's rights to defend themselves. So, yep. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's kind of I wonder what will happen. Obviously, these people are not, guilty. They've just been indicted, but apparently there was enough evidence to indict them. So that's pretty severe.
Yep. I remember even talking about and covering that story out of New York City with that issue a couple years ago. Again, back to what I was touching on. This is just a perfect example of of basically protecting those in power while trampling on the little guy, right? All the rest of us, something's not good for, what's good for me is not necessarily good for thee, right? Sort of attitude. So anyway, all right. Well, again, they've indicted the county under sheriff and sheriff's captain. So that's an ongoing case. They were indicted on November 23rd. So that's just something that has to run its course. We'll see what comes out of that.
Yep.
Turning now to the U.S. Sun, thesun.com. And this was a video that went viral a few days ago. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking. In fact, we're gonna put this up on the screen here and play it for you. You can hear how this goes down. Let me get this shared here, and there we go. Oh, I forgot to hit share audio too. So hang on, sorry guys about that. Here we go again. We'll do that again. So I share audio so you can actually hear as well. There we go. So basically the story is this is a typical, scene in a mall or shopping center where Santa's there, and this year, of course, they can't do the whole sitting on Santa's lap because social distancing. And this happened in the Harlem Irving Plaza in the Chicago suburb of Norridge. And just like I said, a heartbreaking story. You got this little boy, and all he wants for Christmas is a Nerf gun. Of course, he's gonna make us watch a 6-second ad. I apologize for that. Here it is.
No guns. Nerf gun. No, not even a Nerf gun. No, if your dad wants to get it for you, that's fine, but I can't bring it to you. But what else would you like? Lots of other toys. There's Legos, there's bicycles, there's cars and trucks. Right.
Oh man. All right. Poor guy. I mean, like, come on, Santa. Like, are you serious? I mean, the kid's like, Santa, of course, asks the question, what would you like Santa to bring you for Christmas? And his response, you can't hear him at first, but he says a Nerf gun, and Santa's like, nope, sorry, no can do, no Nerf guns. If your dad wants to get you that for Christmas, that's fine, but no Nerf guns from Santa. All right, you can do Legos, cars, trucks, but no Nerf guns. And the poor kid just breaks down. Santa has just broken his heart.
Yeah,
I mean,
terrible,
come on, man.
That's terrible. I mean, subsequently he was fired. The Santa was fired, and the kid apparently the mall apologized and sent like a real Santa out to this kid's house, and they brought him a Nerf gun. But the problem is like, it's just terrible. You have Santa Claus, who's, He's not supposed to be imparting his own political agenda on a little kid who's just there to ask for presents for Christmas. It's terrible, man.
Yep. And that has to be what it is. That's the only thing I can even imagine it to be, is that this man has some kind of agenda. Because why else do you take this stance? Why do you say no? It's got to be that he has a problem with the idea of toy guns, even for for a kid.
Yeah.
So,
good on the parents, though. Good on the parents. They had some restraint. They didn't like flip out and attack Santa for making their kid cry. So good on them. I think they handled it well, but it was just a sad story.
Yep. Anyway, sorry to bring everybody down, but again, the ending is apparently ends up being happy, except for, again, like I could just tell you, if this was my kid, like they would be pretty torn up about that situation, you know, and like, I know of course there's the whole. No, we won't go there. Never mind. All right. I don't want to get myself in trouble. Guys, and if there happen to be any children listening to this podcast or parents with their children in the car, I freaking love Santa. And this was not the Santa that you all know. All right. Mm-hmm. This guy was an imposter. Okay. He was pretending to be Santa. That's the only way this happens, is you have an imposter wearing the suit saying terrible anti-gun stuff. All right. Moving on.
Right on.
The NSSF has a story. NSSF.org. Biden's gun control signal in the Xavier Becerra nomination. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Just so you know, guys, like this is an indicator. Like when you have a president or president-elect, when you have him starting to build his cabinet and making appointees or recommendations or name dropping people that they intend to put on their cabinet, that's an indicator of where their own mind is at as far as certain policies. And granted, this is a proposed nomination for the Department of Health and Human Services. It's, but this is a very important position and can have, some potential implications depending on how much an administration wants to swing towards something like the Department of Health and Human Services, wanting to put their foot more into an issue like the Second Amendment. So Biden is proposing California Attorney General Xavier Becerra, who is no friend to the Second Amendment, not even close, not even a little bit. Okay. All you got to do is look at his record in the state of California for the last however many years now. And it's not good. It's not positive. Okay. So, could this man potentially be well suited in other areas? I don't know. I know nothing about him. What I do know is he's not a friend of the Second Amendment, and therefore, in my opinion, he doesn't have a place in this administration. But what do you expect? I mean, this is what we get because all of this was advertised ahead of time. I mean, we have followed for months and months what Biden was saying about gun control, about different policies, about AR-14s, and so on and so forth. So no surprise.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is and I try not to get focused on one person is going to destroy the entire country. I think our country's strong and everything like that. I would just say this has implications when you've already seen a politicization of firearms in the medical field, with doctors saying starting to question patients about, do you own a firearm, in the verbiage of it coming out that saying gun violence is a national health crisis, and then you put somebody who's pretty anti-gun onto to head the Health and Human Services, and you're moving towards a more socialized healthcare, you kind of see, a potential. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying you see a potential or the possibility of a universally sort of run healthcare system where firearms are an excluding cause, where somebody who might have heart condition, their insurance is higher or whatever, they can't get certain things. Maybe gun owners, you could see where they could start to be punished in different ways. So it's just a concern. It's not, I don't know, I'm not a prognosticator, but it's just, for me, it seems like an odd position to put him. But I don't know his history with health and health department related stuff, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Again, it's completely irrelevant in that regard to me. Well, you made some interesting points there. There is a comment from Mark saying maybe he'll order the CDC to study gun violence. And I definitely think that is on the table. Okay. Or at least that's something they would love to do. And so here's the thing. I don't have a problem with studying stuff, right? Like, data is data. Good data helps us make good decisions about things. And I think, honestly, just because of all the work we do at concealedcarry.com with this podcast, all the stories we share, that the data would suggest that good people save lives, their own lives and lives of others, because they're able to have access to a gun immediately to defend themselves. But what I have a concern with is, like, if we just approach it purely from a data standpoint, and then if we can also look at things objectively and understand what the data is telling us, right, that's fine. But I am not convinced that particularly a Biden administration through the CDC or something studying gun violence is going to do it in I believe what will come out of that is some biased information or some biased positions. They'll pull stuff out of that. If the numbers aren't fudged in any way, they'll pull stuff out of that to meet their, to support their own conclusions as it relates to gun ownership, gun possession, gun use, gun violence, whatever. And that'll be then turned around as a weapon to go for more gun grabbing policies. But anyway.
And to be fair, it could flip on the other side, to be fair. And that, I think that's why we try to separate it from politics, right? Like, independent people study that stuff, not people that are tied to some sort of political party or something. But
yeah, everybody wants to believe the government's independent, right? But except that it's not. And like, that's true if it's a Republican or a Democratic president, right? Like, I saw that when I worked in the federal government. There were certain things that were pushed down the chain to our agency, that was because those were priorities for that administration, right? And that's the way it goes. So yes, some kind of like truly independent research outfit studying stuff, no problem. I have no problems with that. Anyway, too much politics for today. Let's move on to
right on
a story on internationalsportsman.com. And this is a story about GSM Outdoors, which is a pretty big brand. And I apologize for the background noise. That's my furnace kicking on. If you hear that, I forgot to kill it before we started. Anyway, GSM Outdoors acquires the company Cold Steel. Cold Steel, the makers of knives. A company that's been around a good while now, since 1980, in fact. And many people like Cold Steel knives. Okay. Here's the thing. So GSM Outdoors, large brand, they have underneath them a number of different brands, and including things like Walker's hearing protection would be an example of that, which I like their hearing protection just fine. But here's the thing. So GSM acquires Cold Steel. The president or owner or whatever of Cold Steel, Lynn Thompson, decided it was time to to step down, to retire essentially, and he probably got paid some good money to do this, and I don't fault the guy for that. However, and I don't have a for sure source on this, but I have seen it talked about in several places. I just don't have a solid source on this. Word on the street is that when this deal became formalized, that there were workers, a good number of workers, employees of Cold Steel, that showed up for work one day and found they did not have a job.
Wow.
And that's not cool if that's true. And I've heard it from several different individuals whom I trust. Again, it's not for sure confirmed, information or reporting. So take it, with a grain of salt. But that's very disappointing to me to hear. Now acquisitions and mergers and companies being bought is something that happens all the time, and I'm all about free market stuff. My personal opinion with something like this is it's totally understandable that at some point it's time for a company to move its next phase. You have a leader of a company that's decided he's done and he wants to get out. Hey, it's his business. He started that business. He ran that business. It's his right to do what he wants to do with that business. And at the same time, if he's a decent person, a decent human being, and a good businessman, then, you also, while this is your thing that you built, you gotta also, stand up for your employees, because they've helped you. They've been right there along with you. I mean, that's something that we're real big on with our company at CanStillCarry.com. All right. We strive to be absolutely transparent with everything in the company, things that are going great, things that are not going good, times where money has been not so awesome, and times where things have been great. And just what I'm saying is, like, we keep our employees in the loop, and by golly, I think the stand-up thing here to do would be, look, we're selling the business. The company that's buying it's going to make some changes. Some of you are going to lose your jobs. Give people a heads up, right? And like, that's what you do to stand by to do your thing and to do the thing you have the right to do, but also to stand by and do the right thing for your employees. At least give them a chance to have a heads up and start looking for jobs elsewhere, that sort of thing. Again, this is all not officially confirmed news reporting as far as employees showing up one day randomly and finding a note taped on the door or whatever saying, sorry, no jobs anymore, get out of here, get lost. But that's what we've heard, and we'll just see what happens. I hope that's not what happened, but at the same time, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me either, because we've seen similar things happen with other companies in the past. Now, GSM Outdoors, I don't know whether this is a problem with them. I don't know if it's a problem with Lynn Thompson, the founder of Cold Steel, not, maybe being forthright and transparently communicating with his people. But yeah, we'll just see what happens. I think GSM Outdoors tries to make good products. I like some of their products, absolutely. So I don't know. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, same thing. I hope I hope his issue was that he didn't know what GSM was going to do, right? Like, he sold it, he didn't know, and then GSM didn't say anything about cutting everybody, and then he had nothing, he didn't know. But if he knew and he didn't give his employees a heads up, that's pretty shady stuff. So
I think that you've got to almost expect that kind of thing, though. If you're going to sell off your entire business to essentially a conglomerate of outdoor business, sporting goods type businesses, or a company that owns a bunch of outdoor sporting goods brands, you've got to at least be prepared for that. And like, even just letting your people know, look, we're selling the business, just so you know. We don't know. We can't make no promises beyond X date.
Mm-hmm.
Beware, sort of thing. But anyway.
Bad timing too.
Yeah, right before the holidays. That's just rough. All right. So moving on to some news, we actually have a series of news stories from Sig Sauer. and this is not the Sig Sauer podcast, although they've sponsored us in the past. I carry a Sig, whatever, but here's the thing: we're trying to find some like gun manufacturer type news, new releases, new product kind of thing, and there's not a whole lot going on out there. Although Sig's been busy, and that's kind of the point. That's what I'm getting at here. So here's a little segment all about Sig Sauer news, some new things that Sig's been up to. Matthew, why don't you tell us about this new Z365 pistol?
Yeah, all the other Zeev stuff, is always fine-tuned. Take a Glock and fine-tune it, and put a nice slide and a nice barrel in there, and make it a nice firearm. This one is the Z365. It's the Zeev. Let's see. It has a pro barrel, combat sights, which look like fiber optic sights. And it has an optic ready slide. It has looks like a match grade barrel, nice slide, serrations, and everything like that. The grip texture looks really similar. If I'm being honest, it looks really similar to the Gray Guns laser stippled slide. Surprisingly, it doesn't have that. I think they should throw in the Gray Guns flat face trigger for the 365, because I think that would cap off this whole build. But the MSRP is $1,200 with 10 round. It comes with two 10-round mags for $1,200. The Z365. There you go.
So here's the thing. Like, this is pretty cool, in that it's a realization of the direction I think Sig Sauer has been moving for some time now, for years. Even though the P365, at least from the get-go, was not initially or originally marketed as a modular handgun system, if you will, the P365 absolutely is modular, right?
Right.
Where the serialized part is your FCU, your fire control unit, essentially all your trigger, parts and guts and nuts and bolts, your action, if you will. And then you have a grip module, a slide, and a barrel, right? That are non-serialized and are just parts, accessories. And so, we see a similar thing happening now with the P365 that the P320 is known for, that you've got collaborations taking place. You have various companies offering aftermarket support and aftermarket products and upgrades, different grip modules. Wilson Combat has come on really strong with the grip modules. They kind of have done their own Wilson Combat flavor, which is, which is great. It looks great. It's a cool looking grip module for sure. So here you have essentially the same sort of thing happening with the P365, and that's cool. Now, one thing though, I'm looking at the price, I'm going, wow, $1,200 for this, and I think that's just for, like, you get grip module. It says the Z365 mod ships, so maybe this is for a whole gun. $1,200, yeah. I mean, it's more than double what a factory P365 costs. So you be the judge of whether you think you get your money's worth out of something like that. Depending on what those mods are, it may or may not be worth it, in my opinion. I sometimes feel like there's some things that, like, okay, so you get a cool looking slide. Are there any benefits to it looking cool? Probably not. Maybe some slide lightning cuts. Yeah. In the case of the 365, you don't really need or want a lighter slide. But it does come optics ready. So there's that. And that's right. Cool. I can appreciate that. Grip module with different grip texture. I don't know what that texture feels like. It looks cool. I wish it went up the grip panel a little bit higher. Mm-hmm. Actually, I should just show, those of you that are, I should have thought to do this, but here you go. Here's an image of this new Zeev Technologies Z365. Looks cool. I'll give them that. All right. Anyway, cool thing though. Here's the thing. Sig Sauer is they're really embracing this idea of modularity, and so a follow-up story to all of this is I got this in the wrong order. There we are. So Sig started shipping last month their P320 fire control units, and I'll throw this up on the screen as well. And so what this is, and this is a pretty cool thing, okay? Because what you have is Sig is now selling the FCU for the P320. So you can just buy yourself. You obviously got to go through a dealer because this is considered a firearm, right? And so the serial numbers on this thing, you got to go to a dealer, buy this thing, or order online and have it, transferred through a dealer to you, following the law and all that stuff, right? But you can buy the FCU. I think it's about $300. And then what that allows you to do is just go build and configure your own pistol, whatever you'd like it to be. And that's cool. Like, I think that's awesome. There's no other manufacturer that I'm aware of, especially a major manufacturer, that does anything like this, right? Some of them make it even difficult for you to just buy not aftermarket, but replacement parts for their guns.
Mm-hmm.
Sig is going completely the opposite way. And the other thing that's cool along with this is it says that they've begun shipping the P320 fire control unit, and they've launched their P320 Studio virtual configurator. And I kind of played around with this a little bit a few weeks back. It's really a cool concept. So you basically start with an FCU here, and then you say, what do I want for a grip? Well, I'm going to go with and you got all your different grip module options here. And it even tells you right there if they're in stock or not. I mean, you can still configure it. You want this white one here. I don't know about that for me personally, but if you want that, you can at least see what it would look like, right? It is out of stock. Oh, well, let's go with the X Carry medium though. All right, cool. And you can add it to your cart right there. All right, now let's go to the slide. I want to see what it looks like with this Pro Cut slide, or with a standard slide, or with maybe they even have the X5 slides in here. I don't know that for sure. I don't see it listed. Right. So it's really cool. So you can actually configure and build from the ground up your vision of the perfect P320. Completely modular, very, very slick, nicely done technology here to allow you to preview it and see it. And then, of course, see what it's going to cost. Nobody else out there is doing this. It's really a cool concept.
Yeah, it's similar to buying a car, right? Like if you go on some car manufacturer auto, you pick the interior you want, you pick the package you want, and all that stuff. So it's kind of, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yep. And so kind of, again, this is all sort of in that same vein of, well, and I should say along with the FCU launch, the P320 FCU, the Sig really did this big push with other vendors like Gray Guns was a part of it, Springer Precision. I'm having drawn a blank on some of the other companies involved, but you got more and more of these companies. Well, and you even got Wilson Combat now selling their, like, right on their website. You can order their Wilson Combat P320, and it's their slide, their grip module, the way they would build a 320. But of course, they're just buying FCU parts from, they're buying the FCUs from Sig direct, I'm sure, and then they're building their own version of the P320 gun. It's I'm telling you, the 320 is going to take the world over by storm. It just is. The way this is going, the way they're doing this, the fact that it's now the adopted handgun of the U.S. military, it's pretty crazy what they're doing. Then we also have a story about Sig Sauer introducing a new modular pistol suppressor. And so here we go, talking about more modularity. This is the Mod X9 pistol suppressor. They've just officially released this. And this is also a really interesting idea. It says it's the first truly modular pistol suppressor. And here's the thing, like, it can be configured in anything you want from 3 1/4 to 7.5 inches. You just have all these different segments, if you will. And so you're obviously going to get different performance, right? So it ranges from the shortest being rated at the shortest configuration, 3 1/4 inches, 145.3 decibels, okay, to the longest configuration, you're going to get 127.4 decibels. Okay, on average. And so like that's pretty cool, because like there might be applications where you don't need the big, full on 7.5-inch suppressor with really awesome sound suppression, but you want something shorter and lighter, or something somewhere in between. So really, really interesting take. And I think there's some other companies that have done similar things, or also suppressors where it was like a 2-part system. You kind of had a short version and a long version, but really making something from a major manufacturer that you can then just configure however you want to use it. Pretty interesting idea. And they've made it clear that they've got more coming of this style and of this type, for rifles and so forth as well. So, in different diameters and calibers and that kind of thing. So pretty interesting stuff, again, from Sig Sauer.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's good to see companies, innovating. It's really important in the industry. We've covered how many stories about different companies folding in times where you can't even buy a gun because they're all sold, right? So this is good for the industry.
Yep. And one last piece of news from Sig Sauer, and that is an FYI. So there's good things happening from Sig, but sometimes, and this is true of a lot of companies. Okay, I've seen a couple of recalls from a few other manufacturers in the last few months on some other products. But Sig earlier this year really, put a lot of effort into launching their new Cross bolt action rifle, which I've had the opportunity of handling, and it's a pretty cool bolt action gun. I mean, heck, I'd have one of these. I'm really intrigued by that 277 Fury cartridge that they've also developed along. They have this rifle available in that cartridge, in that caliber. So basically the news is that there's a safety recall. So you should immediately discontinue use of the rifle. Something to do with the trigger, and there being a delayed discharge after the trigger is pulled. So apparently there was some reports of, actually I heard it was really one confirmed report, but I'm sure in abundance of caution, they're doing a full-on recall of all Sig Sauer cross bolt action rifles. And so, yeah, you don't want to have a situation where you press the trigger, nothing happens, and you think you're good, and some, a number of seconds or whatever later, all of a sudden it fires, on you. So that sounds like it's something along those lines. You can go directly to Sig Sauer's website and register for that recall and confirm that your particular rifle is included in that recall, and they'll get you taken care of.
Cool. Very good.
So, Yep. And that is the end of our Sig Sauer news roundup. I know it's a lot of Sig news, but again, that they got a lot going on, and I thought that some of that was somewhat newsworthy to report on. So moving on now to our final news story before we get to our product reviews, Matthew, this is one. I'm going to preface it by just saying that we're not real big here, on our podcast and at concealedcarry.com with like really tooting our own horn. But I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this story. And this is reported on marshallnewsmessenger.com. This is just a really small local publication in Marshall, Texas. And I'll tell you, Jessica, the author that wrote this piece, you might want to work on your article titles, because this one's kind of, it could use some work. The title of the article is Fundraising Success. That's it. No idea what fundraiser we're talking about here. Can't even really tell just looking at the image of the article what this is about. But if you get into it, you'll learn what it's about. And it's a pretty cool story. Matthew, did you follow this much, and maybe you could give us a rundown of what this is all about?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, a former police officer, Doug Smith in Texas, he tries to put together a fundraiser to equip some of the local PDs with trauma gear. Obviously, that's an important thing, right? And a lot of police officers, people may not know, buy their own gear and have to pay for their own gear. The departments don't provide that, and medical gear included. So he's trying to put a fundraiser together. On cue, Facebook shuts it down. They squash his attempt to raise money to buy medical kits for local police departments. Apparently, I don't know if it was you or Jacob happened to see this, a report about this being shut down, and through Mountain Man Medical reached out and basically was able to work a deal where providing many more kits than they would have been able to purchase at the other price. And obviously the fundraiser was a success, so the title is accurate. But they raised, I think it's twice as much as they anticipated. What their goal was. They're going to do more fundraising. It says they were able to purchase 54 cat tourniquets, 105 tourniquet holders, and 94 trauma kits for 14 different local agencies, which is incredible, awesome, and super cool.
Yeah. And those of you that know us know that, we're associated with Mountain Man Medical, and so the tooting the horn bit is just that we were proud to be a part of this and to be able to offer all of these products and kits for, basically cost. We gave them an absolute steal of a deal, knowing it was going to a good cause, a good purpose. Regardless of even how people feel about law enforcement in this country, Matthew, is it a bad thing to put trauma kits and tourniquets in police officers' hands? Like, quite literally, those are things that are going to save people's lives, right? Like, you can debate, officer-involved shootings and whether they should have guns or tasers or whatever, or the tactics or methods they use. But put all that aside, regardless of how you feel about that, like, this is a good cause to have medical equipment in the hands of people that are going to be there first, or very, very, very immediately after something happens. And Matthew, that a lot of officers, a lot of departments and agencies don't have always very well stocked kits, or even provide much in the way of kits at all. And oftentimes officers are left to fend for themselves. And, because like the ones that know better, that go, well, my department gave me this kit, but it's junk, or it's not fully stocked, or there's, it's a mess or whatever. And so they know better, and they go, they have to go out and buy their own kit. Right. And I've known that. I know guys on, in local agencies here in the Denver metro area that are absolutely in that boat. They're like, well, I want to carry a tourniquet on my duty belt. At the very least, I want to have a tourniquet, or maybe a small IFAC, and they got to go out and buy it. They got to go buy the holster or the pouch for that tourniquet as well, because like that's not, an agency provided item either, and that kind of stuff. So that adds up. So anyway, all that to say that we were so proud to be a part of this fundraiser and this project to provide all these kits as part of Blue Line Consulting and Safety Services goal to outfit. How many was it again? It was Harrison County Sheriff's Office. It was Carthage Police Department. There was multiple agencies involved.
Marion and Panola counties. Yep. The Carthage Police Department said it with the exception because they didn't need anything.
That's right. That's where I misread. Harrison, Marion, and Panola County Sheriff's Offices. Awesome. Yep. So anyway, tooting our horn. Good news, happy news, and thank you very much. And guys, if you want to support, you can go find Blue Line Safety and Security Solutions or whatever. Sorry, I've closed the tab already on their Facebook, and there's links and ways you can contribute. So on to news and gear, or on to gear reviews. We did the news. I'm going to go first. I think last time I had you go first. All right. So I'm going to jump in. Here we go. I am excited to highlight and show the new Enigma from Filster. Now, ignore the fact that these are flopping around. I'm actually going to address that, because ideally we don't want these just loosely rotating like that. But this is the new Filster Enigma. Now, it's not the holster itself. This has the Filster Pro holster attached to it. And you can see it's kind of shaped and designed, with that in mind. It sort of follows that shape of the Filster Pro holster. The Enigma is really a carry system for a holster that gives you greater flexibility and options as far as how to carry a gun. Essentially what this is this is a carbon fiber. It's relatively thin. It's less than an 1/8 inch. It's probably a little over a 1/16 of an inch thick. This carbon fiber backing that has been manufactured it's very strong, right? It's not going to tear. It's not going to rip. I've been messing around with it, and it's clear to me this is intended to last for years. It then also has this belt that's attached with a quick release. It's called a fid lock. Okay. And it's actually a magnetic lock. So you'll see as I snap this in, it just magnets itself together. But when it's really cleverly designed. If you've never seen one of these before, like, you cannot rip this thing apart manually. You have to pull this little tab to get it. And when you pull it, it just comes right apart, like as if it's nothing. It's a really cleverly designed buckle. And so you have this carbon fiber mount piece, if you will, attached to a belt. So what this is a mounting system with an integrated belt, so that you can put a holster on it. Any holster essentially that uses a 5/8 inch spacing, like where you would attach a claw or a wing. So for instance, this holster has a mod wing, okay, attached to it. So the Filster Enigma is designed to, you just take those 2 screws out that attach the wing to the holster, and you put on the Filster Enigma, and now you have a integrated belt carrying system for your gun, meaning it's not attached to your pants, it's not attached to your traditional belt, and therefore gives you the freedom to not require those things. Meaning that I could wear this with gym shorts, track pants, whatever, so, or if you're wearing on the female side of the equation, a skirt or a dress, we have an upper top piece and a lower piece to that outfit. So if you have a situation where you're like, I don't know how I'm going to carry because I don't have a belt with the way I'm dressing today, this is a solution. This, I think, is a game changer, because there are plenty of products out there, like, say, belly bands, that can fit that role, but they do so rather poorly a lot of times. And the reason why is because they're not custom fitted to the gun you're going to carry. In many cases, they're not even well protected in terms of they don't protect or guard the trigger very well, meaning that some of those belly band products are just soft elastic material, and if you hit something in the wrong place at the wrong time, just in the right angle, you could be discharging, pressing the trigger through the holster material, and you got a problem. Right? Plus, there's retention issues a lot of times. And those that have retention a lot of times are using some kind of strap. And the strap is terrible to remove and non-intuitive and not fast at all for a good, seamless, smooth draw. So this allows you to use a good, like a quality holster, mount it to the Enigma, system, this mounting system, and then you strap the belt on. And that's the other thing. It gives you a lot of flexibility as far as ride height, exact position on the body, as far as 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever. It is a clever and well designed and a very solid system. I've been very impressed with it, and again, I believe this to be a game changer. Now, a couple of things about it. John Hauptman tells me that these are not supposed to just freely spin. That this is where the belt is attaching to the actual Enigma mounting plate. And, so the hardware that was sent with this is such that I could not tighten these down far enough to actually kind of lock these into place or have any more resistance. So I have some hardware. I'm going to go ahead and just replace that. And that I know they were working hard when this was first released to get things shipped out. It could also be as simple as needing a thicker rubber washer between the post and the screw. That would probably work as well. So just seemed like there was maybe a little bit of oversight on the hardware, but I'm honestly not complaining too hard because overall it works. And even in this current configuration, it's worked fine for me. I've worn this for over a week, and it's been awesome. Like one day I spent all day here in the home office working and just was wearing gym shorts and a t-shirt. And that's the other thing. The way this thing is designed, even though, so some of you are probably thinking, okay, I'm still just going to go with a belly band. I have a solution that works for me. Here's the thing. This thing allows you to carry any gun, any size. This one right here this is my P320 holster. I can carry a full-size P320 in this and get this. Even without traditional pants and belt, it conceals as good, if not better, when I'm just wearing gym shorts and a t-shirt than when I'm wearing traditional belt and pants. That is mind-blowing to me. The way this mounting plate, this carbon fiber plate thing works and interfaces with the holster, the way it torques it into the body. And then here's the subtle thing you might not notice. You have these different mounting holes. That allows you to customize ride height to some extent, but also it changes the torque on things, both vertically, like inboard, outboard with the holster, as well as rotationally with respect to the grip in the body. That is like wizardry. So I am super, super impressed with the Filster Enigma. You guys check it out. They did an initial launch, sold everything in like 20 minutes, but they're working hard to restock. And so stay tuned, and you can go to filsterholsters.com if you want to learn more. There you go. That's my review of Filster Enigma.
Super cool, man. I saw the launch, and I was just slow on the trigger to buy one because I really wanted one and try it out. And I'm excited even more now. So
I almost missed it too because I just happened to see a post that he made to get on the wait list. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. So I went there. I put my email address in to be included in the wait list, thinking it'd be a few days or a few weeks or whatever. It was like 4 hours later, I got a notification. Boom, wait list. The store's open. You can go buy. Like it was that fast. And I if I hadn't been like paying attention and watching my email any closer, I would have totally missed it because everything was gone in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Well,
Mr. Fumin Wu on YouTube says he outfits his holster with ulti clips, can ride perfectly on any waistband without a belt. He wears those basketball shorts all the time, and I'll just say, Mr. Fumin Wu, this works better. I guarantee it. Not even in the same ballpark in terms of security, retention, concealment, comfort, all of that. All right. Just so like, I kind of expect there to be some people who will be like, hey, I do this, I do that. I've done a lot of different things in my time. I haven't seen anything that solves a lot of those problems and is more comfortable and conceals as good, if not better. And I've done some testing in some cases, depending on how you position everything, I think it actually conceals better than when I'm wearing my standard belt and pants, which is like, we're talking your usual belt that's got some rigidity to it, Matt. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's no belt with this thing, but the way this thing works, the way that mounting plate torques everything and the adjustability, like you can truly customize the thing to fit and conceal better than, it's wizardry, man. It's crazy. All right. So what you got, buddy?
All right. So I'm going to go quickly because we still have to give a giveaway. And I know you guys are excited for that. So I'm going to talk about, I got the 507C, the X2 So I haven't put it on. It's going on this guy right here that doesn't have a slide. This is the Type B. It's currently out at Culper Precision getting cut for a slide for this optic. But basically, if you have the 507C, the V1 had the issue with the battery underneath. They did the V2,
Right.
which placed the battery slide tray on the side, which is a huge improvement. But this is the X2, so it's different than the V2. The X2 is pretty much the same as the V2. It has the shake awake. It has the backup redundancy in the solar little panel right here. But it also has a lockout feature. So once you dial in the brightness of the reticle that you want, and I think there's either 11 or 12 different settings. Once you dial that in, you set it, and you can get a happy medium of brightness versus in bright conditions and low light conditions. Figure out what works best and lock it in, and that way it doesn't you'll accidentally hit the button and turn it off, or crank up the the brightness and or way down, and you're going through that. It has, just like the other the 507, it has the 3 different reticles. It's really 2 reticles, but 3 different variations. You have the 32 MOA circle with the 2 MOA dot in the middle, or you can have those separate. So you can have them both. You can have the dot or the reticle. And so it's pretty cool. I have the red version. They have a green version too. But I'm really excited. I haven't used it obviously yet. I've just been kind of playing around with it, with the settings and different things. And so pretty excited. As soon as that slide comes back from Culper Precision, which does awesome stuff, I'll let you guys know how it works once I get it out on the range and stuff. But super excited. And there's not a lot of I struggle to get this. They're not very available right now. Availability is kind of tough right now. So, but if you can get one, I think it's going to be real good. Same footprint as the RMR. So if you have an RMR, and the price point is much less than an RMR, and through all the testing I've seen is pretty robust, pretty solid optics. So we'll see how it works out though. But 507C, the X2.
Awesome, buddy.
Yeah.
I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Holosun in recent years. I remember when I first came across Holosun, like one of my very first SHOT Shows. It might have even been my first SHOT Show, which was, a good number of years now at this point ago. And initially I was like, oh, okay. But here's what I've learned about Holosun since then, is that I think that they really have listened to the market and have pivoted where they've needed to make red dot, particularly pistol red dot products that people really want, and has features that they want. And that's really cool, man. And the other thing too is you see the testing that people have done with those optics. They're holding up really well. Okay, so a lot of guys are rating them, maybe not quite exactly on par in terms of toughness and durability with an RMR, but like a close second kind of thing, So super, good stuff from Holosun these days. Yes, I know some of you are gonna be like, it's Chinesium. A lot of optics, frankly, come out of that part of the world, or at least parts for those optics from all kinds of manufacturers. So chances are what you buy anyway is Chinesium in some form or fashion. Anyway, my understanding actually, so on that subject really quickly, I think emitters, the part that actually emits the light, in the optic to then hit the window and bounce back to your eye. So the emitter is, I think they're only like made in like Germany and then like China or something, like, it's one of those sort of things where they're really only available from a couple of sources in the world. And one is like the ultra high quality version, from Germany or Switzerland or someplace that you're going to spend a lot of money for. And the other is, China. So, I mean, which is, again, judging by the testing and reviews and people that I trust that have been running these Holosuns, is a good quality. as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, it's time to wrap it up. We got to do a giveaway. What are we giving away today, Matthew?
We're giving away a Bump in the Night DVD or digital copy, whichever one you prefer.
Cool.
And next week, we're giving away a Flight 93 commemorative ball cap. So make sure you get in on the giveaways.
So let's see. Who's going to be our lucky winner today for the Bump in the Night DVD?
Our lucky winner is Murray, or Murray, Murray. Last name starts with a C. I'll email you, Murray. And make sure you reply with whichever one you want. If you want us to send you out the DVD or send you a link so you can download the version. Either way. Yeah.
Awesome. Congrats, Murray, being this week's winner of the podcast giveaway. Guys, a reminder that you can sign up each week at concealedcarry.com/podcast prize to make sure that you have a chance at being a lucky winner. Next week, looks like we're giving away a 511 Tactical Flight 93 Memorial Ball Cap, which we've given some of those away before. We still have some on hand, and it's one of my favorite hats. I've got one sitting over there. And in fact, many of you have seen me wearing for like a year, almost 2 years now, probably. So awesome hat. We'll give one of those away free next week. Just sign up at concealedcarry.com/podcast prize. So with that, I think it's time to wrap it up.
Let's do it.
All right. Guys, thanks so much for watching and listening to episode 464 of the Concealed Carry Podcast. We will let you go and give you the reminder to train right, train often, and train safe so you can fight hard, fight fast, and fight true. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.